Have you ever walked through your garden in the quiet hours of an early June morning, looked down at your plants, and felt a sudden, inexplicable sense of dread? You see them standing tall, reaching aggressively toward the summer sun, their leaves a vibrant, promising green. To the untrained eye, this is the ultimate picture of health. It is the dream we chase all winter long, poring over seed catalogs, mapping out beds and sowing tiny specks of life in warm indoor trays. But beneath this beautiful facade of rapid growth, a quiet tragedy is unfolding. The plants you have nurtured with your own hands, the green companions you have watered, weeded, and protected, are entering a phase of silent, desperate warfare. They are building an empire on a foundation of sand, and if you do not step in within the next few days, their towering structure will collapse. The painful truth is that many of the most devastating gardening failures do not happen because we neglect our plots. They happen because we do not understand the secret, silent languages of the plants themselves. June is not a month of passive waiting. It is the ultimate crossroads of the growing season, a high-stakes transition where a series of critical, biologically crucial tasks will decide whether your garden becomes an abundant paradise of harvests or a withered, pest-ridden graveyard of forgotten effort. Let us look closely at the first silent crisis gripping your garden right now, the illusion of height. It is incredibly satisfying to watch your sweet basil, your aromatic mint, and your young pepper plants shoot rapidly upward. We celebrate every inch of vertical growth, believing that a taller plant is a stronger plant. But in the natural kingdom, height is often a desperate response to fear. In the wild, plants must race upward to outcompete their neighbors for a sliver of life-giving sunlight. To achieve this, the plant employs a strict, almost tyrannical internal hierarchy known to botanists as apical dominance. At the very tip of every main stem sits the terminal bud. This bud is the undisputed ruler of the plant's architecture. It produces a powerful class of growth-inhibiting hormones called auxins. As these auxins are manufactured at the apex, they flow steadily downward through the vascular highways of the stem. Their primary mission is simple: to suppress the dormant lateral buds, the axillary buds, that lie quietly waiting in the joints between the leaves and the main stalk. The terminal bud is essentially telling the rest of the plant to stay small and stay dormant, because it is currently in charge of reaching the light. The consequence of this hormonal blockade is a leggy, fragile plant. It grows as a single, thin pillar, vulnerable to the harsh summer winds, unable to support the weight of future fruits, and severely limited in its potential yield. By allowing this unchecked upward race to continue, you are unknowingly limiting your plant to a fraction of its true capability. To break this chemical dictatorship, we must look backward in time to one of the most turbulent periods in human history. In the early 19th century, amidst the chaos of the French Revolution, an aristocrat and politician named Antoine-François Bertrand de Molleville found himself fleeing for his life to the safety of England. Having served as Louis XVI's Minister of the Navy, Molleville was intimately familiar with the brutal efficiency of the guillotine, a machine that severed heads to completely reshape the social order. While in exile, surrounded by the peaceful English countryside, Molleville turned his mind to agriculture. He realized that the traditional tools used for pruning, heavy billhooks and clumsy pocket knives, were tearing the delicate fibers of grapevines and fruit trees, leaving ragged wounds that invited rot and disease. Inspired by the need for a precise, clean, and effortless cut, Molleville engineered a revolutionary hand tool in 1810, the manual pruning shears, or what the French would come to call the sécateur. When Molleville returned to France after the fall of the empire, he introduced this elegant tool to the agricultural world. It spread across Europe like wildfire because it allowed farmers to do something extraordinary: to perform precise surgical interventions on their crops without crushing the vital cambium layer beneath the bark. When you take a pair of sharp, sterilized bypass shears and make a clean, angled cut exactly 1/4 inch above a healthy leaf node, you are performing a modern act of botanical revolution. By removing the terminal bud, you instantly cut off the plant's primary source of auxins. In a matter of hours, the hormonal levels within the stem drop dramatically. With the tyrant gone, a secondary hormone produced in the roots, cytokinin is finally released from its chemical prison. Cytokinins are the champions of cell division, lateral branching, and youth. They rush upward through the plant's veins, flooding the dormant axillary buds at the leaf joints. Almost overnight, those tiny neglected buds wake up. They push outward with incredible vigor, transforming a single weak stem into two robust lateral branches. If you repeat this process a few weeks later, those two branches will become four. Research from the University of Florida's IFAS extension has demonstrated that plants subjected to this systematic, node-based pinching produce up to 40% more total biomass over the season compared to those left to grow unchecked. Not only does this build a dense, wind-resistant canopy, but it also delays premature flowering and bolting by nearly 2 weeks, preserving the essential oils and sweet flavors of your herbs. You are literally turning a fragile, single-stemmed plant into a highly productive, structural masterpiece. This is the beautiful, mathematical poetry of the garden, addition by subtraction. But this hormonal battle is only the very beginning of the profound transformation we are about to undertake. There are deeper secrets waiting in the soil, ancient technologies of water and stone, and invisible ecological balances that we must restore before the summer heat arrives. If you are ready for this epic journey, drop a comment telling me where in the world you are watching from. Hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss more of our upcoming videos. The soil is calling, the summer is advancing, and the true work has only just begun. As we step deeper into our June garden, we must confront a second, far more deceptive trap, one that hides within our most basic act of care. Every afternoon, under the blazing summer sun, millions of well-intentioned gardeners grab their hoses and overhead sprinklers, showering their vegetable beds in a cool, refreshing mist. It feels right. It looks like a scene of pure abundance. But in the invisible, microscopic world of plant pathology, this simple daily routine is a catastrophic mistake. You are unknowingly turning your vibrant sanctuary into an active breeding ground for an airborne nightmare. Have you ever walked out to your squash patches, cucumbers, or melons, only to find the leaves coated in a ghostly ash-gray powder, looking as though they were dusted with flour? Because today we are going to expose exactly why your watering habits are inviting this devastation. Unlike almost every other fungal pathogen on Earth, which requires liquid water to germinate and colonize plant tissue, powdery mildew is a uniquely sinister organism. It does not need wet leaves to take hold. In fact, it is one of the only fungi that can germinate and infect your plants in the complete absence of standing water. It thrives when the surrounding air is warm and humid, and it aggressively colonizes the young, tender leaves that are kept damp by late afternoon watering. When you spray your garden from above, the water that pools on the foliage eventually evaporates, raising the relative humidity within the plant's microclimate to the absolute perfect threshold for fungal spore germination. Once these microscopic spores land on a leaf, they send tiny, root-like structures directly into the plant's cells, draining its energy, halting photosynthesis, and leaving behind a brittle, scarred canopy that cannot support sweet ripening fruits. To break this cycle of disease and save our summer harvests, we must abandon modern sprinkler systems and look back to a time of profound, ancient simplicity. Over 4,000 years ago, across the arid, sun-baked plains of ancient China, Mesopotamia, and pre-Columbian America, farmers faced the ultimate agricultural challenge: how to grow food with an extreme scarcity of water. Their solution was not a complex network of pipes, but an elegant vessel made of earth and fire, the olla. An olla is an unglazed, highly porous terracotta clay pot. In our modern rush for plastic drip lines and high-pressure nozzles, we have forgotten this masterpiece of passive engineering. When you bury an unglazed clay pot deep in the soil, leaving only its narrow opening above the surface, and fill it with water, a beautiful natural phenomenon occurs. The water does not rush out into the dirt. Instead, it seeps through the microscopic pores of the clay at an incredibly slow, self-regulating pace. This process relies on a powerful physical force known as soil moisture tension or capillary suction. When the surrounding soil is dry, it exerts a gentle physical pull that draws moisture through the clay walls. As the soil reaches its perfect water-holding capacity, this suction naturally stops. Nearby plant roots quickly sense this consistent underground reservoir. They grow deep into the earth, wrapping themselves tightly around the buried terracotta walls, drinking exactly what they need, precisely when they need it. By watering directly at the root zone, the surface of your garden bed remains completely dry. Weed seeds are deprived of the moisture they need to sprout, and the humid, damp conditions that allow powdery mildew to colonize your plant's leaves are completely eliminated. This is the ultimate form of lazy, highly efficient gardening, working in perfect alignment with the laws of physics. If you believe we should bring back these ancient, self-sufficient practices, hit that like button right now and share this video with someone who is still struggling with a sprinkler. But even as we transition to this ancient underground watering system, your garden faces a third, highly chemical illusion of success. Walk into any modern nursery in June, and you will see shelves lined with synthetic, highly soluble nitrogen fertilizers. The marketing promises rapid growth, deep green leaves, and instant results. It is highly tempting to dump these synthetic granules around your tomatoes and peppers to force them into a dramatic growth spurt. But this rapid vegetative explosion is a chemical trap. In the natural world, before the industrial breakthrough of the Haber-Bosch process, nitrogen was introduced to ecosystems slowly and biologically, primarily through cover crops, finished compost, and decaying organic matter. Synthetic fertilizers bypass this natural timing, force-feeding your plants with an unnaturally high concentration of soluble nutrients. When a plant absorbs this massive, sudden flood of synthetic nitrogen, its growth accelerates at a pace its internal biology cannot sustain. It rushes to build new leaves, but it cannot manufacture sturdy cell walls fast enough. The resulting foliage is thin, watery, and structurally weak. More importantly, this rapid, unnatural growth floods the plant's vascular system with a dense concentration of free, uncomplexed protein amino acids. To sap-sucking insects like aphids, spider mites, and planthopers, this nitrogen-rich sap is a sweet, irresistible buffet. Over 50 years of entomological research has documented a direct bottom-up effect. Crops fertilized with highly soluble synthetic nitrogen experience explosive, exponential increases in pest populations. When you use synthetic fertilizers, you are not building a healthy plant. You are sending a chemical dinner invitation to a pest army. This June, you must detoxify your soil. Switch to slow-release, natural organic amendments that feed the soil microbiome first. By nourishing the soil, you allow your plants to grow at a natural, balanced pace, building thick cell walls and robust chemical defenses that naturally repel invaders. We are standing at the threshold of a great transition. Our plants are branching. Our roots are reaching deep toward ancient clay reservoirs, and our soil is finally purging the chemical toxins of modern gardening. But as the summer heat begins to build, a new physical threat is preparing to emerge from the shadows of our garden beds. An army of armored invaders is waiting to colonize our squash vines, and the baking summer sun is preparing to sterilize our precious soil. While your soil begins to heal from the chemical shock of synthetic fertilizers, a far more visible and physical threat is quietly assembling its forces at the base of your crops. If you grow zucchini, yellow squash, pumpkins, or melons, you are likely standing on the edge of a devastating invasion. During the quiet days of early June, when your vines look lush and vigorous, it is incredibly easy to become complacent. But beneath those massive fan-like leaves, a highly destructive pest is preparing to launch a silent coup. This is the squash bug, Anasa tristis, a relentless, armor-plated invader that has driven countless passionate gardeners to the brink of absolute frustration. Have you ever gone out to your garden, lifted a giant, healthy squash leaf, and found yourself staring into a crawling nightmare of fast-moving gray nymphs and shield-shaped adults? If you have felt that sudden knot of panic in your stomach, tell me about your personal battles with squash bugs in the comments below, because today we are going to stop them before they even have a chance to hatch. The survival of the squash bug is a masterclass in evolutionary timing. These pests spend the long, freezing winter months in a state of absolute dormancy, hiding safely beneath garden debris, old firewood piles, beneath the cracks of garden borders, or deep within last year's undisturbed mulch. As the soil warms in late May and early June, the adults emerge from their winter shelters with a singular, desperate mission to find your young cucurbit plants, mate, and lay the foundation for a massive summer population. Under the cover of early June mornings, the female squash bug creeps onto the undersides of your squash leaves. There, tucked precisely into the V-shaped angles where the thick leaf veins meet, she lays neat, geometric clusters of 15 to 40 shiny, bronze to reddish-brown eggs. These clusters look like tiny metallic drops of copper glued firmly to the leaf tissue. A single, healthy female is capable of producing up to 250 eggs over the course of the season, and if you leave them undisturbed, they will hatch in about 10 days into highly active, ravenous nymphs. These nymphs do not chew your leaves. Instead, they use their sharp, piercing-sucking mouthparts to inject a toxic saliva into the plant's vascular highways while draining its vital sap. This dual assault disrupts the flow of water and nutrients, causing localized yellow spotting that quickly turns to brittle brown patches. In severe cases, this feeding leads to yellow vine decline, a highly destructive bacterial disease that causes entire mature vines to wilt rapidly and collapse into a lifeless heap. Once multiple generations overlap in July and August, controlling them with organic sprays is almost impossible. The secret to winning this war is early daily intervention in June. You must become a scout on the front lines. Walk your rows, flip over every leaf, and inspect the base of the stems. When you find those bronze egg clusters, do not reach for chemical sprays. Instead, take a piece of sticky duct tape or packaging tape, press it firmly over the eggs, and peel them cleanly off the leaf tissue without tearing the plant. To catch the clever, fast-moving adults that hide near the soil, employ a simple trap. Lay flat wooden boards or thick pieces of cardboard on the ground around the base of your plants. At night, as the temperature drops, the squash bugs will group under the boards for warmth and shelter. First thing in the morning, lift the boards and sweep the sleeping bugs directly into a bucket of soapy water. And if you're ready to take a stand against these pests using these simple traps, hit that like button to spread the word to other gardeners fighting the same battle. But as you secure the perimeter of your squash patch, your garden faces its final, most intense trial of the month, the soaring summer heat. As June advances, the sun climbs higher in the sky, and its intense solar radiation beats down directly on the earth. Leaving your garden soil bare, dark, and exposed to this baking sun is a critical mistake that will quietly sterilize the very foundation of your garden's life. When soil is left completely uncovered on a hot afternoon, its surface temperature can easily soar past 120 degrees Fahrenheit. At this extreme temperature, your soil does not just dry out, it bakes. The delicate, microscopic structure of the earth collapses, causing the soil to compact into a hard, impermeable crust that repels water. More tragically, this intense solar heat sterilizes the top few inches of your garden beds, literally cooking the beneficial mycorrhizal fungi, active earthworms, and billions of helpful soil microbes that are vital for breaking down nutrients and feeding your plant's roots. To discover how to shield this delicate, living ecosystem from the summer sun, we must look to the etymological roots of gardening itself. The modern word mulch traces its lineage back to the Middle English word mulch, which literally translates to soft, mellow, and moist. Even the ancient Romans, who managed vast agricultural empires across the dry, sun-baked Mediterranean, understood that bare earth was a failing system. In his legendary, multi-volume agricultural masterpiece, De Re Rustica, the celebrated Roman writer Columella argued passionately for the intense, thorough cultivation of the soil and the absolute necessity of preserving soil moisture and aeration to protect the earth from the drying effects of the elements. Columella understood that a covered, protected soil is a highly productive, living soil. To bring these ancient agricultural truths into your modern garden, you must tuck your beds in with a thick 2 to 3 inch blanket of organic mulch, such as clean straw, shredded autumn leaves, or aged wood chips, right now. This organic layer acts as a powerful thermodynamic barrier, It reflects the harsh solar rays, dropping soil temperatures by up to 25 degrees and cutting evaporation rates by over 70%. By keeping the soil at a consistent cool moisture level, a state known as field capacity, you prevent the extreme wet-to-dry stress cycles that cause tomatoes to split open and lettuce to turn bitter. Beneath this protective shield, your soil microbiome will thrive in a dark, moist, and stable paradise, slowly decomposing the organic mulch from the bottom up and releasing a steady, natural stream of nutrients directly to your plant's roots. June is the ultimate turning point of the growing season. The decisions you make right now, whether you pinch back your herbs to unlock their branching hormones, transition to deep, underground clay irrigation, purge the chemical illusion of synthetic nitrogen, hunt down early squash bug eggs, or wrap your soil in a protective thermodynamic blanket, will dictate the entire trajectory of your summer harvest. You can choose to walk away and let nature take its course, or you can step in as a mindful steward of your soil, working in perfect harmony with the deep, scientific rhythms of life. What kind of mulch are you going to use to protect your soil this summer? Are you a believer in clean straw, or do you prefer the rich look of shredded leaves? Drop a comment below, share your thoughts, and let us build a thriving, abundant paradise together.